looks good. Just hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, you have a road trip with Dr. Wilson, he doesn't feed you.
He told me that. He said, yeah, but I told him that there's a different level of standard for employees and board members. So if he was with us, he would be eating.
This is for the
Oh, thank you.
executive session.
Thank you, thank you.
And if, when they talk about the bylaw vote thing, I can do it if
Okay.
they
Yeah.
want me to be the designee to fill it in.
And the only thing that they're voting for is they're allowed there to be 2 seats for both
Right.
the Native American and the Hispanic caucuses.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. I should have brought some Tylenol. I got a headache. My stomach hurts.
What do you need?
Tylenol, aspirin.
I have ibuprofen, you wanna go get it?
No.
No, go get it.
I don't even know. I got nothing. No, the meeting's going to start.
Silence yourself.
Turn on. That's why I turned them off.
Yeah, this is actually for plastic surgery.
It's on now.
You did. Good for you.
Here you go.
Oh, okay.
Welcome.
It still is, but I was hoping to be at the 20.
That's what Kevin got a haircut.
Ms. Boggs or Mr. Watkins?
It's 6 o'clock.
It's 6 o'clock, and so are we able to get the party started?
I thought Ms. Boggs was gonna do it.
Okay, I thought I was taking over after, if you had to leave. But if you want me to do it, I can.
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order.
Who's got-
And let's see, who will do the pledge? How about Hart? You stand. Lead the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, presentations and recognitions. Number 3.
Ms. Boggs, members of the governing board, I've sat here in front of you for a number of years talking about the quality of our organization, the quality of our students, the quality of the programming. Oftentimes, I don't do enough, I think, to express the quality of the staff that we have. And tonight, we're fortunate to be able to recognize one of our staff members, Mr. Bernasek. And to do that, I'm going to call the main campus principal, Mr. Fisher, up so he can explain to you the recognition and we can celebrate Mr. Bernasek. Mr. Fisher?
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Thank you, board. It's with great pleasure that I get to talk a bit about not just our auto program, but in particular, Mr. Bernasek. Some of you may or may not know some of the recognition that our automotive program gets nationally. There's over 4,600 instructors that are certified under the ASE Education Foundation. So for them to announce Mr. Bernasek is their instructor of the year, that's a big pool of people to be measuring. Those 4,600 instructors come from over 2,300 other automotive programs like ours, both at high school and in adult ed facilities. I think this is the greatest quote, that our program here at EVIT is recognized, our region is recognized, but here at EVIT in particular, we're recognized for putting out more ASE certified students than the entire state of California. Over the 6 years that Steve Bernasek has been a part of this team, both as a teammate and as a team lead, he's fostered so much growth, not just of the facilities, but of the instructors and of the students themselves. So with that, I'll stop talking so we can recognize Mr. Bernasek.
Thank you for having me tonight to recognize me for this. I'm truly humbled by this. It's such an amazing award. 5 minutes before the class got out, I got a phone call from Tim Zelke and Mike Coley. And I knew the names, but I didn't know the names. And with 5 minutes left of class, I'm rustling kids to clean up and get things situated.
And they asked me if I have 5 minutes. I'm like, all I got is 5 minutes. But I never thought I would be that instructor to have that, stigma of instructor of the year. But this is more than just me. I couldn't do this without a great organization, a great administration, a great principal, and a great team. John Lindstrom and Cody Metcalf and Rico Moto and everybody that comes along with this program. So I'm truly humbled by this to be nominated for it, and I'm excited to see where this takes EVIT and our programs here. So thank you, appreciate it.
So if I could say one more thing, Mr. Fisher did an incredible job talking about the quality and the magnitude of the instruction that the instructor that Mr. Bernasic is. But part of what makes him such an incredible instructor is his ability to be an incredible person. I can't tell you how many times there have been situations in the organization in which we needed somebody who could come in and help. And that sounds silly, but help oftentimes is hard to find. But Steve is, without question, an individual that if I called and said, I have an issue or a concern or a challenge and I need help, he would pick up what he would come in a second. And it's not just in the automotive program, it's across our system. And I'm so proud to be in an organization that has individuals like this who get recognized as being Teachers of the Year because of the quality of their classroom instruction, but who are also outstanding human beings. So, Mr. Bernasic, thank you very much on behalf of the organization. Much appreciated.
I'm going to sign up for auto.
Yes.
I need to fix my cars. Teach me.
Item B, Students of the Month. So every single month, we take the opportunity to recognize our outstanding students. As we just saw, we have outstanding staff, but the outstanding staff is also a result of our outstanding students. And so we recognize both students at the main campus and also at the Power Campus. And to start us off, I'd like to have Mr. Casaro, who is the principal at the Power Campus, please come up to recognize the Students of the Month from his campus.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Good evening. Good evening, board. Thank you for having me. Before I start with the Student Month, I just want to reiterate what we said about Mr. Bernasic. I was here when he got hired, and I just remember what the auto program was like when he got brought in. And, they say that a CTE program is only as good as its instructor, and he's a perfect example of that. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents in about Mr. Bernasic as well. So for Student of the Month this month at the Power Campus, I decided to do things a little differently. I asked Dr. Wilson if it was okay, and as you all know, his comment was, "This is America, you can do what you want."
Absolutely.
So
love this.
Instead of having an AM and PM Student of the Month, I'm going to have a team, an engineering team for Student of the Month. So these are some of Mr. Merkley's PM capstone students. Mr. Merkley's here, and he can kind of fill you in on why he nominated these students for Student of the Month. But I think this group of students perfectly personifies what we do at EVIT and how what were the critical thinking skills that we give our students in order for them to succeed in the real world. So, Mr. Merkley.
Members of the board, last year when I came, I told you that it was very difficult for me to pick out a student of the month for my classes because they're all super students. They're all excellent people, and they do perform so well. So when we came last year, I had a student from our first year program. Our first year program, as you know, we go through and we learn engineering skills and the ability to critical think and being able to apply those principles, engineering principles. Well, after the first year, the students have the opportunity to return after completing the first year and completing their EVIT requirements. They can return as capstone students. And in those capstone program, we aligned the students into engineering teams. The teams generally consist of 4 to 5 individuals. And that individual set of teams, each of those teams identify, research, develop, design, and build out their project. And we've had all kinds of really outstanding projects. such as the electric car that went from our campus to main campus. We've had all kinds of things happen. This year, when Mr. Casaro asked for nominations, I said, to heck with nominations for one. I've got an entire team that is fantastic. And so I have a team of 5 students. Michelle, John, oh, and what is your name? Anyway, the team came together. They have utilized their engineering skills, applied them, and they are in the process of developing a die cycle. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of what a die cycle is, but it is a motorized system, 2-wheel system that they are in the middle in a cage, and they're able to do all kinds of wonderful things. As they proceeded into this process, and Ethan has kind of led this group along with John, they came upon a problem. They had to roll 2-inch and 3/4-inch outside diameter rings into 5-foot diameters. We tried to find somebody to do that. We came over to main campus, and the rolling mill out at the welding shop would only accept 1 3/4. We were about 1/4 of an inch shy of being able to put our wheels through their largest piece of equipment. And so our team went back, and as engineers would do, they identified their problem, they researched it, and then they designed and built their own piece of equipment. Now, you've been given 3 pictures. One actually shows the students in the operation of rolling their mills. Another one shows the piece of equipment which they built, designed and built. And the third picture is their finished product, the 2 wheels that they had to roll. To me, that's outstanding engineering. And so for that, I wanted to nominate and recognize this Capstone PM team number 4. Ethan, Michelle, John, 2 of our people couldn't be here tonight, Dre, and also Nathan couldn't be here because of conflicts. But I'd like to recognize them and have them come and be presented to the board.
So if you wouldn't mind, just each of you introduce yourself, your home high school, what drew you to EVIT, what your plans are upon graduation, and anything else you'd like to share.
I'm John. I go to Dobson High School, and what I want to be is a civil engineer, so I came to this class. And I want to focus on building stadiums and everything, so.
How did you find out about EVIT?
I had an uncle that came right here, and then just Dobson talks about it all the time.
That's very good. Congratulations. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michelle Venegas. I am from Skyline High School, and I plan to be an architect.
Very good. How did you find out about EVIT?
My brother and sister have been here, and I have multiple other cousins that have been here.
That's great. Thank you.
Family affair.
Hello, my name is Ethan Appel. I go to Desert Vista High School. Growing up, I always wanted to be an engineer, and I found out about EVIT because my sister came here and completed the cosmetology program.
That's outstanding. Very good. Members of the governing board, do you have questions that you'd like to ask our recipients?
You came up with design for this roller that you have there that turn your wheels. Where'd you get the design from?
So we just went online and just researched different types of rollers used for rolling steel pipe. And we figured that this one would be the best design because not only can we use it for ours, but it's adjustable. So you can use any range of thicknesses or diameters to roll it or bend in future purposes.
Does the welding program want to use it now?
Maybe.
So in other words, you had a thing that you're going to make, right? You're going to make a die cycle. You found out that you didn't have the tools to make the parts that you needed to do it. So you built the tool to make the parts, to make your die cycle, and now you can use that tool to build a bunch of other stuff that you need. That's
awesome.
I mean, that's awesome stuff. And I guess engineers, that's what they do, right? That kind of stuff. So, thank you for what you've done and what you shared with us. That's awesome stuff. That's great stuff.
Yeah, congratulations, that's really cool.
Do you guys have any parents or people that kind of push you along and help you get here?
Yeah, I know my mom is a big advocate on education, so.
You want to introduce them to us?
Yeah, this is my mom, Tara.
How about the other one?
I have my mom and dad. They have helped me for a long time.
I have my mother, Heather, and then my two grandparents, Lynn and Bill.
Wahoo. So I'd like to interrupt. I got a question. Is this a patentable device? Seriously, I'm not kidding. So, and if it's patented and you make a ton of money, just buy us snacks.
Engineering teacher, get on for a patent.
There you go.
Congratulations. Thank you very much for what you've done for us and being a part of the EVIT family. Thank you very much. We also have a second campus, the main campus, and I'd like to ask the principal, Mr. Fisher, to come up and recognize the main campus students of the month.
It's good to see you all again.
It's been so long.
It has, hasn't it?
The spider get you?
A little bit. What I'd like to do is I'd like to first start with our PM students, because oftentimes we start with our AM and go forward. So we're doing something different. We're going to do a little different today. So with that, I'd like to introduce Miss Slade up here to talk to us a little bit about her student, Rosemary Harris.
Oh, Rosie. So yes, her name is Rosemary, but everyone calls her Rosie. I honestly have never nominated anyone for Student of the Month because I didn't feel anyone was deserving. Okay, I can confirm. But what has really impressed me most about Rosie is how she demonstrates how exceptionally skillful she is in her leadership. And she ran for a higher office position in class. She did not win, but it did not stop her. She may not hold that high position, but she goes above and beyond to help her peers every single day. Today, especially, I saw that. She is most interested in forensic psychology. Like, I teach the psychology class here at Maine, but she is really interested in forensics. So we tried to get her into the HOSA regional competition that she had no idea what she was getting into, but she wanted to jump right in. That to me is courageous, especially when we have no knowledge of medical terminology whatsoever, and trying to teach all of that and try to get her a partner on top of that. So even when she has unknown challenges kind of stacked up against her, she has a strong will to keep going and a desire to learn more every single day. And so that's why I feel like she is the most deserving of this award. So do you want to come up and say something?
Hi, I'm Rosie.
I feel you.
Sorry, I'm short.
I feel you.
So my homeschool is Corona del Sol, and I really want to be a criminal psychologist, like Miss Slade said, with forensics. I feel as though, for me personally, my three biggest, pushes to do what I do and do my best would probably be my mom and my dad, and of course, Miss Slade for sure, because with all her students, she really does strive to better us and to challenge us to be better people.
So I have a couple of questions, but I don't want to hog the microphone. Do you all have questions that you might want to ask? So a couple things. One, how did you hear about EVIT?
Actually, it was through my counselor. I was discussing with her kind of what I wanted to do in the future, and she brought up that EVIT has a program for psychology, and I kind of like jumped on board.
Good for you. Good for you. And then secondly, and this was described earlier, I think one of the things that's most impressive is that when you have an opportunity that you're pursuing and it doesn't work out, it's easy to conclude that then that, you know, things aren't meant to be. But for you to keep stepping forward instead of stepping backwards tells me that you will hit what you're expecting yourself to be because you're not going to give up. And I think that's a really impressive skill set for you to have. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And if we could have Mom and Dad stand up real quick so we could recognize them as well, that'd be much appreciated. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
And now to celebrate our AM Student of the Month, I'd like to welcome Mr. McNamara from our Fire Sciences program.
I'm going to give him this too, because just why not? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm here for you.
All right, just a couple notes. We've done a lot of job fairs at different high schools and different things, and commonly asked question is, what does it take to become a good firefighter? And they get ready to write down their answers like I'm going to have words of pearls of wisdom to tell them. And I give them a one-word answer. It takes heart. Everything else I could teach you. I could teach you to climb ladders and spray water and repel off perfectly good buildings and drive fire trucks. All that stuff is easy. If you don't have heart, you're going to have a very difficult time making it in our business. I nominated Lauren. She's one of my squad leaders in the AM class. Her grades are consistently in the 90s every quiz. She's got the respect of not only all of her peers, but all of the instructors. A couple weeks ago, we did PT, and there's high school football players in our class, and she runs circles around them. So I went up to her and says, Lauren, you're making the guys look bad. She says, yeah, that's the plan. I'm like, keep it up. That's the perfect answer. With us, we do a lot of repetitions. So we have to load hose, and it comes off in like a minute or two, but then it takes another 8 to 10 minutes to put it back to start all over again. I've never once had to say, Lauren, jump in there, help out, because she's always one of the first ones diving in and taking care of business. Tomorrow she'll be representing the EVIT Fire program at the Fall Leadership Conference for Skills USA. So we're really happy about that. But besides being a model EVIT student, I'm going to talk a little bit about her home high school as well. She's a junior at Red Mountain High School. She's majoring in physics. She plays on the badminton team that just won regional. And she also plays on the Vendetta softball team. And recently when I asked her, how's that going? There was a lot of college scouts at the last practice with interest in a lot of the players that are on the team. So she's got a lot going on for her. But let me get back to the heart part of the conversation. There's a disabled young man at Red Mountain High School. And if you think about it, high school kids react in different ways to that. They could be bullies, they could tease someone, they could give them a hard time. They could avoid them because they're uncomfortable, they don't know the proper way to act, so they just avoid that person. Or you could be like Lauren, and you could befriend that person. So every day at lunch, she helps feed this young man because he's unable to do it on his own. So you talk about heart and compassion and everything like that. We can't teach that. That came from home. She started learning that before she could spell EVIT, and that's a reflection on her parents and her family. And if she chooses to become a firefighter, she's got a great head start. She wants to be a physicist. Whatever she wants to do with the drive that she's shown, she's going to crush whatever she wants to do. So, Lauren, come on up.
So tell us about yourself, Lauren. How did you find out about EVIT? What are your plans? I've heard of several different opportunities that you might pursue after high school. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I
Could you please step up to the podium so we can hear you?
I found out about EVIT. We went to like a presentation at school, and so I signed up for the field trip. I thought it was pretty cool, so signed up.
Very good. What are post-high school plans? What are you thinking?
I really want to go into wildland firefighting right after high school. Sounds like fun. I'm not really sure for college yet, though.
Very good. And are your mom and dad here?
Yeah, my mom Melissa's here, and my dad Jeff is here.
Oh, great. Mom, Dad, congratulations. So, Lauren, the fire program has a special opportunity that they take to recognize students and cadets that go above and beyond. It's called a badge or a sticker program, in which when you do things above and beyond, you're rewarded to have a sticker or a badge. And so I'd like to offer you one on behalf of the good work you're demonstrating by being here tonight. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Fisher. And with that, Ms. Boggs, I will turn the meeting back to you.
Do we want to excuse everybody who doesn't want to hear the rest of the meeting?
Probably should, yeah.
If you do not want to stay and listen to the rest of the business that we have to take care of, you can leave, or you can stay. It's not that much more fun. You guys were the most fun part about our whole meeting. Thanks for coming, you guys.
Thank you. Congratulations.
I would play something Prescott.
I was gonna say Lauren could stay and watch the girls run circles around the boys and wear Miss Fox.
These guys would break a hip. Sorry.
I resemble that.
You do resemble that remark.
The house is gone, it's looking this way. I mean, there was a house closer than the wall.
All right, number 4, approving minutes.
Didn't get the house.
I'll move that we approve the minutes of the last regular meeting held on October 11, 2021.
I'll second.
All right.
Yep.
It was a tie. I'm in the middle.
Who was it?
We'll go with Bill.
No, it's just Fleetum.
We'll go with Bill.
One of those guys.
Okay, one of those two. Okay, any discussion? Anything you guys want to talk about? Nope. All right, I'm calling for a vote. Hart?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Covington?
Aye.
Hobson?
Aye.
Fleetum?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. And Watson?
Abstain.
Okay, call to the public. I have nothing.
None.
Do you guys? No? Okay. Number 6, consent agenda item.
We combine A through D. I'll make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, first and a second. Do we have discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. How did the pit crew do last weekend?
So you will find out at our next governing board meeting. I don't want to
come
spoil
on.
it for you, but
Come on.
they did exceptionally well.
Good.
Exceptionally well.
Okay,
That's the only question
that's
I
it?
have. That's
No other,
it.
no other, okay, I'll call for a vote. Hart?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Covington?
Aye.
Hobson?
Aye.
Fleetum?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye, and Watson.
Aye.
Okay, did we go all the way through D?
Yeah, A through D.
You just did the motion for
A through
combining
D.
A through D?
A
Now
through
you
D.
have
Okay,
to
so
vote
we're
on them.
at 7 then.
We're on 7.
We're on 7, okay. 7, personnel.
I'll move that we approve the personnel agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All right, first and second, any discussion? All right, I will call for a vote. Hart?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Covington?
Aye.
Hobson?
Aye.
Fleetum?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye, and Watson.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to 8, information and discussion. Is that Dr. Wilson? Are we discussing anything? Are we just going to vote?
No, no.
That's not an
There's 3
action
different
item.
items. Item A
Okay.
is a COE update by Mrs. Doolin.
All right.
You all
All right,
ready?
Mrs. Doolin, let's go.
Okay, so first off, does everyone know what COE is?
Cooperative Office Education.
No.
No.
Close, though.
Doggone it. It
One of
works.
those.
That's why
Close.
acronyms are bad.
Acronyms are bad. But I will tell you, COE is our accreditor for our adult education. So currently we have 12 programs that are accredited through COE that we offer adult education and certification through.
Those are the people we had dinner with, correct?
Correct. So some of you met them while they were here, they had dinner with us. As to be expected, remember, we knew prior to some changes that were made here at EVIT, basically me going from there to here, that we would have some issues with the accreditation. We've known this was coming for a while and that there were some issues in adult ed. With that being said, we did have findings, and we had some significant findings. The good news is the COE is working with our leadership team and was happy to see the changes that we've made and the direction they were going. I'm proud to report that thankfully over the last 6 weeks, the students also reported that things had drastically changed on the campus. For COE, that was the one thing that really made them feel like we could lean in, is because they got the report from the students that aligned with what we were telling them, which is that we were making the changes, and when we started the changes, and the increased focus on adult ed and becoming one EVIT instead of 2 silos. With that being said, they're willing to work with us, and we are in the process of meeting those deficiencies. It's gonna take a lot of work. I want to be very transparent with you. We have a lot of work to be done. They've extended us to get our response in until February 1st, and then we will go in front of their March board agenda through COE to see if we can have everything resolved by that time frame. So that's our update for COE. You know I'm always going to be honest and transparent, so here you go. We're probably not going to meet every area by March, but I've already anticipated that that was going to be a potential concern. So I've already reached out to the COE representative that's working with us. The goal is to get the majority, and if we have 1 or 2 that are outstanding, they'll still give us that finding at the board meeting and then give us a time frame to remedy that. But we have to make good faith effort and getting all of the rest remedied. But some, because of time frame, one of the one of the challenges we have as a public institution that closes for 3 weeks in December is we close for 3 weeks in December.
Right.
And that makes it really difficult for me to get the faculty and everybody engaged to get all of the work done by the February 1st deadline. We have a lot of holidays. You know, I'm coming from the private sector, so I'm not used to the 3 weeks off, so I've already said I will be here, but I don't know that anyone else will be here working with me.
You will probably be the only one.
I will probably be the only one. So that is the time frame, but that is something I shared with COE, that was my concern, is that with those 2.5 weeks off, roughly, over the next course of time, that really hampers our ability to answer the response by February 1st. So that's why I went at it with, what if we still have 1 or 2 outlying, and they went through the process.
Ms. Doolin?
Yes.
What can the board do to help facilitate the achievement of all of these?
There is a potential that I will ask Dr. Wilson to come back to you if I need to potentially offer stipends to bring people in over Christmas break. If we come down to the wire and I have too many of the deficiencies that I'm not going to be able to meet by February, I may be back asking for them because they're off.
Besides that, is there anything extraordinary that you might foresee?
Advisory committees are going to be an issue, so friends that you have, especially those of you who work in certain disciplines, EMT, I need some advisory committee help. I also will need some help in welding and some different areas to put together our institutional advisory committee, as well as some individual advisory committees that we're lacking. The faculty have been doing advisory committees, but they haven't been meeting the criteria set forth by COE. You have to have specific numbers of members, you have to have specific things that you're going over, and you have to have minutes on the meetings. So there's just, some of the check boxes were missed. So we have to repeat all those advisory meetings, and some of them didn't have the right makeup, so we have like missing boxes. So some of that we might be leaning into you guys to say, hey, do you know someone who has, I know that we need a current person that's working it has to be someone who is an employer that would hire in EMT. So I mean, I know we're missing that.
Can you compile a list and send
Yeah,
that out?
we'll compile a list.
I would do that sooner than later, because these people are all busy people, and something 30 days out is not gonna
And that's
happen.
the problem, to meet the time frame. I have to have those advisory meetings in December, which is gonna be next to impossible to get people to show up in December.
Well, I would say in the next day or two, we need that list.
So, Ms.
And
Doolin,
some dates.
when you say the industrial arena, that also includes the construction sciences, right?
We don't have an adult construction. We're not approved for that.
We're not in any of that, okay.
So COE's not in that arena. It's only
Yet.
yet. It's only the
Thank you.
12 programs, so we can send out an email to you for the 12 programs.
Please.
And then I'll also send out the requirements. But where you can help me, Mr. Fleetham, is we do have institutional advisory,
Right.
and I have to have 3 people that represent the community at large.
Gotcha.
And that's typically gonna be, if we're looking at what EVIT really is, that's gonna be probably a mayor or a high-level executive somewhere that is part of our community. Because it really, ideally, it would be the mayors of our sending cities,
Or city managers,
or city
Department
managers,
chairs.
or, what would we?
City manager. I
City,
think,
yeah.
a city
Any of
mayor,
those types of
yeah.
people that really are part of the workforce development.
I think that's doable. We just need to know some dates and who.
So could that be
Or
some,
what positions you need to fill.
could that be some of the leadership on the Workforce Arizona Council?
Absolutely, that would be
Okay.
beautiful if I could have 3 of them.
Boom.
Okay, I'll send you an email. And that's all I need is 3
For that discipline.
for that. No, that's institution. I only
Oh.
have to have 3, but they have to be direct representatives of the communities we serve.
So are we looking for one advisory board for the school or for
We're looking
disciplines?
for
or-
one advisory board meeting for the school, that's the institutional advisory meeting, and then each of the 12 programs has to have an advisory meeting.
Okay, so that's 13 programs.
13 total.
13 advisory boards. That's tough.
Hence why I said in December,
Put some dates down though.
so.
I wonder if it makes sense for, the very first thing you talked about having stipends available for folks that you may need in December. I wonder if it might make sense for us, of course, we can't do it now because it's not agenda, to decide that earlier rather than later, so that Ms. Doolin has that available to her if she decides, I need 6 of these folks to be helping me, and here's the thing, here's your stipend. Yep.
I think that does make sense.
So bring that up.
Would that be a special meeting?
No, we can bring it back in November, our first meeting in November, as an action item, and then that way it's approved, and if Ms. Doolin needs it, then she can have access to it. If she doesn't, then it goes
I still have a
unfilled.
better feeling for it in 2 weeks than she will.
Yes, we'll have a better, I mean, a lot of it,
It's
a
just
lot of the
over 2
findings
weeks
was
away.
a lot of little things that are
Check boxes.
check boxes, and a lot of it our Director of Legal Services is handling, because it's some processes, it's stuff we already do, we just don't have a written process, so we have to actually put the policy and process down on paper. So there's a lot of those that we think we can resolve rather easily, it's just some of the bigger lifts we might be struggling with.
So we will come back again in November, either with further discussion or a potential action item. Back to your point, Mr. Hobson, that would give us a little bit more time to make sure that we understand completely what is needed, and then we'll bring it back for discussion and possible action in November. Item B, hiring guidelines for entry-level positions. This goes back to Mr. Fleetham's concern that was raised several board meetings ago, in which we were concerned because our market, what we were paying was not necessarily what was the going market was asking. And so we were finding it more and more difficult to remain competitive in some of our at-will positions, whether it be custodial, whether it be aides, whether it be office staff. And so we said at the time that what we wanted to do is to do an analysis, both private and public sector, because one of the things that we recognized is that in our industry, in our organization, we're not necessarily, because we used to have 2 sides of the house, and now we're moving it into one EVIT, then we've got to be mindful that what our compensation has to be reflective of both, because we're going to be one EVIT. And so we asked that give us a little bit more time for us to do a bit of a market analysis, both private and public, and then come back to you with a recommendation, and as well as come back to you with an amount that would potentially cost the organization in total. Because remember, if we hired somebody last week at $1 an hour, and the recommendation is that it should be $2 an hour for everybody that comes in, well, then that person that was hired as $1 an hour needs to get $2 an hour. So we wanted to run the numbers up the system to make sure we understood what the financial impact was. So you'll see in the hiring guidelines and entry-level positions that we did the analysis, and our recommendation to the governing board is that we have in those at-will positions a base starting salary of $14 an hour. That $14 an hour in some cases will put us a tad above the industry. In some cases, it will put us right where the industry is. And in some cases, the $14 an hour isn't where the industry is, that we're still behind. So in those individuals, those situations, we will do what we've done again in other positions, is that we will then do a comparison for compensation of those unique areas. So you see in the backup that was provided to you, most of the, not most, a good number of the positions are 14, but as you go through, you'll see that some are $14.25, some are $15.50, some are $16. So we start with a base of $14 an hour, then we work our way up based on what the industry, both private and public, are paying. The cost associated with doing that within our system is about $66,000. So meaning to move into this range and be more competitive for incoming employees, it would cost us about $66,000 based on what we currently are paying employees, based on what the governing board approved prior for starting salary compensation. Does that make sense? Questions, concerns, thoughts? It's not an action item, so you can mull it over and we can bring it back next time. But we wanted to get the information to you, A, because Mr. Fleetha made a very valid point, and B, we want to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a position to be as competitive as we possibly can be. And we think that this is a step towards that, even though there's a compensation that's required to level the existing employees out.
I think it's only fair.
All right, what we'll do then is we'll bring it back as an action item. Obviously, an action item carries with it as a discussion. If you have information that you would like more or more conversation, we can certainly do it at our next regularly scheduled meeting. Item C, possible changes to the superintendent evaluation tool. You'll see in your backup, there's the original tool, the tool that was in place last year, the tool that you've been provided. And we just took a stab at it and said, you know what, instead of, kind of having a conversation, how about we come up with, well, truly it was, I didn't do it, others did it, but because it's uncomfortable for me. But that we come up with a tool that we believe is a fair representation of the role and responsibility of the superintendent. As a reminder, that tool isn't necessarily a reflection of Chad, even though I am your superintendent. It's what you want from the superintendent, regardless of who's in the position that I'm in down the road, right? So the tool that's there that we've provided you, we believe is a far better tool to evaluate the role of the superintendent, not only in roles and responsibilities, but also in terms of quantifying performance. And so unless there's any exceptions or concerns about it, I would ask that we use this tool to be my evaluation instrument that you'll use to evaluate me in November.
So he's being very diplomatic, so I'm gonna
Please.
pipe in here.
It was really uncomfortable.
That was uncomfortable. So I will let you know, I took a stab at the tool, and then I asked Director of Legal Services to also look at the tool after. If you go through and do a comparison, you'll see that some of the items are missing that I pulled out. It's because they were repetitive. I knew they were repetitive because we all
We're
talked
here.
about it last time. It was some of the same things over and over again, and then realign some things that were actually leadership that were put under management, like just switch some places of some other items. The other big thing is with the addition of my position, some of the things you were evaluating your superintendent on actually don't fall directly on him. It would be his job to delegate and make sure I'm doing my job. So there was some rewording on that, because really it wouldn't be up to him to run the curriculum. It'd be up to him to be aware of the curriculum and make sure I'm doing my job. So you'll see some of those changes in there, as well as making sure that Director of Legal Services is performing adequately in doing the policy and processes as well. So that's a lot of the changes, was just to make sure align with where we're headed as an organization.
After reading through this new evaluation you have there, I thought it was a great improvement that you did there. And it's a lot better.
Thanks.
Way better.
It is.
Way better. You took out my assume, though.
Got your what?
The assume.
The assume.
Well, when we talked about it, one of the things that became evident is that the tool that was being used really was not necessarily going to drive behaviors different of your superintendent. And the evaluation, whether it's mine or instructors or whoever's, should be first and foremost about making us better. And I don't think the one that was there before did that. I think this gets us closer to that. And so unless there's any objection to it, Tammy will send it back out to you again. And I believe my evaluation is the next governing board meeting. Is that correct? Or I think it has to be done by the 10th?
Probably true.
Yeah.
It has to be emailed to the board by November 10th, and it has to be discussed at the next.
Okay, so you'll get it in November, and we'll hold the evaluation in December, and we'll talk about it again in the next meeting. But as a reminder, I'm being evaluated by all 9 of you, not by one of you, so all 9. And so the way we did it last year, which I think made sense, is that you all did your individual evaluations with comments, and then you submitted them to our Director of Legal Services. He aggregated the scores. So the scores reflected the aggregate of the 9, but all of the individual comments were kept so that there could be a more rich discussion and dialogue. We'll have an executive session. I'll be privy to the document as well. We'll have a conversation, and then from that conversation, you all will formalize and finalize the evaluation of the superintendent in December. Okay?
Got it.
And unless there's any other questions, that is all for information and discussion.
Okay.
Okay, we good, everybody?
Yep.
All right. Number 9, action items, A, policy revision, second read, and that is,
This is the mission statement of the district. We took out the old one, put in the new one.
Shorter and
Do is
sweeter.
approve it.
Much shorter and sweeter, I hope.
Yeah. Much improved.
All
I
right.
can read it one time.
I'll
I'd
move
like to
that
make-
we approve the policy
ahead.
revision as presented.
I'll second that, or does someone else do it?
all right.
Give it the
Point.
the heart.
Is there any discussion? No? All right, I'll call for a vote. Hart?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Covington?
Aye.
Hobson?
Aye.
Fleetum?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye, and Watson.
Aye.
Okay, B, ASBA proposed bylaw change.
Ms. Boggs, members of the governing board, the Arizona School Board Association is asking all of its members to vote on a proposed bylaw change. The proposed bylaw change is simply giving a seat at the director's cabinet table to both the Native American caucus as well as the Hispanic caucus. Currently, those 2 caucuses share 1 seat, and they alternate each and every other year who is in the seat. And the recommendation is to allow those 2 different caucuses, those 2 different entities, to each have their own seat, so that their voice and their concerns are yearly a part of the discussion, not biannually because of the rotation of the seat. There's no other changes to their policies or their bylaws other than that. And they're asking for the sending partnering districts to vote for or in favor or not in favor of that bylaw change.
Okay. And what, do we need to select someone to cast that vote on behalf of the district? You're only allowed one vote.
So you are.
Typically, that's how it's done.
Yeah, so you are. So yes, is that right, Tammy?
Yes, they decide whether to approve the change or not, and then designate someone to cast the vote. I can do that as the board secretary, or one of you can designate, any of you, if you'd like to.
So the motion, should you choose to entertain it, would be to approve the bylaw change as recommended and to nominate either one of you or Tammy to cast the vote, so that either one of you, should the motion pass, can cast it in the timeline that's necessary or defer it to Ms. Norris.
I'd rather see a sitting board member cast the vote.
Mm-hmm. I think it makes sense.
I think that sends a better message. Okay, well, I'll move that we approve
me?
the ASBA bylaw change. And I will nominate Mr. Hart to cast that vote. It's just an online site you go in.
I'll second that.
I'll say.
Is there any discussion? Anybody? No?
I'll second it. I lost out twice on second, so I'll get one in there.
Second. We're at discussion now.
Yeah.
Did you want to discuss?
Mr. Boggs, or Ms. Boggs got that.
I seconded it.
We're voting
See, I'm
on,
up 4 times, okay.
we're voting on who's going to cast our vote, right?
Let's vote.
Not what our vote is.
Whether we have supported or we not, and I've nominated Mr. Hart to represent the board in casting that vote.
There's been a
The
first.
So is that
motion
two
to
separate?
approve the
Yes.
That's
bylaw
two.
change.
Yeah, we need to do the
Yes.
bylaw change first.
The
And
motion,
designate.
and, yeah, it's both,
It's
so.
both.
So combine.
I've combined them.
Okay. So combine, approving the bylaw and,
Mr. Hart.
Mr. Hart
to
representing.
Designate.
Correct.
okay.
And it's been multiply seconded, so.
Yes, seconded a couple times.
Third, fourth, fifth, and.
But can I second it too?
Yes, everybody wants
Just
to
about
second.
call that a vote then.
So call the question.
Okay, any more discussion? All right, I'm going to call for the vote. Hart?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Covington?
Aye.
Hobson?
Aye.
Fleedem?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Watson?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Next is a call for executive session.
I'll move that we adjourn to an executive session per
I'll second.
ARS 38-431.3, blah, 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 8, A1 through 3.
And we have a
I'll
second? Okay.
I'll second.
Second, all right. I will call for a vote. Hart? Oh, did you guys want to discuss it? I'm going to call for the vote. Hart?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Covington?
Aye.
Hobson?
Aye.
Fleedem?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. And Watson?
Aye.
Okay, executive session.
Would you all like to take a 5-minute break? Anybody? This is it.
Oh, anybody
Okay,
else
so-
left?
You need to resume the meeting.
Okay, we are now resuming the meeting into regular session.
We're 11?
Item 11, yes. I'll
Moving
move
to
that we appoint Edith Perez to the position of Chief Financial Officer, salary of $157,216.
I will second that.
Is that a proper motion?
Any discussion?
Right? We're,
Are we appointing her, or are we offering the position to her?
I would say we're offering.
we're
I would
offering,
offer the position to her.
Because it's her choice.
It's her choice. She may say no.
Yep. Don't, please don't.
Edith.
No, there's too much betting going on now.
What are the odds? What are the
Sick
odds?
of seeing those commercials.
Oh, we're live on.
So would you like to restate the motion or?
I'll restate, hopefully I capture the essence of your concern. I make a motion that we offer the position of Chief Financial Officer at EVIT and at a salary of $157,218.
I thought it was 216.
216, excuse me.
Second the motion. Oh, sorry.
All right, any more discussion, any
further
discussion? We got a second, a third? Okay,
Calling the question.
all right, I am going to call for a vote. Hart?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Covington?
Aye.
Hobson?
Aye.
Fleedham?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye, and Watson?
Watkins?
I'm,
Aye.
Watkins, not Watson.
yes. Gosh, I don't, you know what I'm thinking about.
Who was that other guy who was voting?
Now that we made the motion, Edith, what is your response to that?
Yeah. No. I'm gonna think about it.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Okay, moving to item 12, staff reports. Dr. Wilson.
Ms. Boggs, members of the governing board, I have 3 items. First item is just an update on the visits that we've been doing to the other CTED districts within the state of Arizona. I have to tell you, I was not overly excited about doing this, but it has been one of the best things. This and visiting all of our satellite programs were probably the 2 best things that I could have done as a superintendent, because it has given me such a perspective of the work that happens outside of the East Valley, outside of Maricopa County. And it has been a wonderful opportunity to see the innovative uniquenesses of each of the CTEDs. We've got 4 left, but each of the CTEDs across the state of Arizona. That's been just a humbling, exciting experience. Secondly, it has actually, every single time we've come back, we came back with ideas that we could utilize here to make us better. And so you can't do that by sitting in a room at a conference or by doing Zoom. It's when you get onto their district, on their campuses, walk their programs, talk to their business, talk on, that you really get the fabric of what it is that they do and how that can be transferable to us. And we've also had the opportunity to extend support in ways that we never would have been able to do without understanding better what they're doing. So I'm so appreciative that we're doing this. We have 4 more. We hope to finish them by the end of this semester, so that we've had the opportunity to connect with all of the CTEDs and the superintendents in a very personal way before we get through the end of the first semester. It's been just a wonderful, wonderful experience. It's exhausting, but it's actually just been a wonderful experience. So I wanted to update you on that. Secondly, we're still working to set a meeting with WestMac and ASBA. There's been some difficult challenges across some different planes right now, and I've alluded to some of those in meetings past. I'm still working on that, and I'm still working to get that done before this semester is over, because I know, to the conversation we had last meeting, we don't want to wait till April to start having those conversations. We want to do it sooner rather than later, so that you all have an opportunity to process the information and make an informed decision about our membership or not our membership in ASBA for the 22-23 school year. So I'm still working on that, just so you know. And then with the offer to Ms. Perez as the Chief Financial Officer, that leaves one area within the reorganizational structure that we still need to fill, and that's the chief operating officer positions. I plan to come to you in the spring and recommend that those positions be filled internally, and that they be leadership positions. One at the main campus and one at the Power campus. And the main campus, the recommendation in the spring will be Mr. Fisher, and the Power campus, the recommendation will be Mr. Casaro. And I'll explain my rationale to you at that point in time, but I'm eager and anxious for them to fill out that structure, and I will explain to you how it'll work at that time. But I just wanted you to be aware, because we're one area left for us to be able to then kind of take that next step. So I'll come back to you in the spring with that, so that you're better, so that you understand it better. But I just wanted you to be aware of that. And unless there's any questions or concerns you have for me, last thing, we also probably in January are going to have a ribbon cutting out at Power for the new buildings. The aviation building's going to open up for second semester. It's a phenomenal space. And so we want to have a ribbon cutting and most likely hold our governing board meeting there, out in the space that's provided in the aviation building. So just so you know, they're on target to open the aviation building on schedule, and we will have time out there for you all to tour it and to experience it and to see what you've approved, because it's really impressive. And that most likely there won't be till after the holidays. It'll be a meeting in January, and that's it.
Perfect. I can't wait.
It's great. It really is.
I don't doubt that. Okay, anything else? Anybody?
ma'am.
No? Okay, item number 13, closing items, calendar.
I have 2 items I'd like to put on the agenda for next week, or next month. Your salary guideline, we'd like to approve the recommended names of the amounts there. Okay? And the other one is your evaluation superintendent, that we approve that before we go to do it. And also with that, the one thing I have trouble with evaluating on is what you do for the community. And I would appreciate a listing of what, when you send it out to us, that you have a listing of what you do in the community.
Sure.
Because I don't know everything. And I've been here all these years, and
Yeah.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I'd be happy in any areas that you're unfamiliar with, because I think sometimes we all get into our roles and responsibilities and we do what we do, but it isn't necessarily recognized or known, because it isn't necessarily something that is always brought to your attention. So I'd be happy to do that.
are there any other fields that you guys would want
I
background on?
would love the community stuff.
Committee?
I
Sure.
think that's,
Community was, to me, the hardest one.
yeah, with the community, and also maybe other CTEs, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that would be cool too.
And I do have a question.
Oh, conferences.
I have a question that doesn't necessarily relate to this. Membership in one of these boards, ASBA, goes from what months to what months?
July 1st to June 30th.
Okay, so we're going to stick for another 9 months or 2/3 of our membership before we make a decision?
Yeah. Technically, we would have paid that money before all that conference, you know.
So I'd
I
like
know,
to,
I know.
I'd like to include on the agenda, I don't quite how it'd be structured, some sort of earlier opportunity for Ms. Doolan to get money set aside or committed, or you just the wheels, just in case. I mean, she may not need it, but it seems to me she could decline it.
Yeah, that's actually smart.
For that COE
To
thing.
chase board members down the middle of
Right.
December while, we're not around,
Right,
it's gonna
that's
be hard
smart.
to do.
That's a little tricky just to have a blank check there, though.
Well, I think maybe we could do it as
We
an
gotta structure it.
an
with the
hourly-
Positions and
Yeah.
rates and
10 cents an hour.
Yeah.
if it's gonna be a stipend or something,
No, we could work on it and bring something back to see if you're comfortable with it.
something that's legal.
Legal's always
Helpful.
nice.
It's helpful.
I'm with you too.
That's always an idea.
It's a plus in the
Dr.
long
Wilson,
run.
I also want to tell you that, and I should have said this earlier, that with respect to the instrument, the part that I'm really interested in is the part where you talk about, it's one section, superintendent's goals. And I'm hoping that's, I really want to see where you think you're going to take us.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
so
could
you
be
don't have to
filled
be
in.
limited to just that little bit if you
Yeah,
want to be
I
expansive.
appreciate
that's
that,
great.
yeah.
Or if you just want to see big picture.
Keep it
this,
less
you
than
know,
2,000 words.
Yeah, no, it
I'm
can
just
be,
gonna put my dissertation in there.
it can be
3,000.
2 or 3 items. I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't have to be.
but I think it's fair for you guys. I mean, we've talked about it some, But I think I think you all need to better understand how I see all those pieces fitting, and that doesn't make me right, but but I'm the one who sees it that way, and if needs to be adjustment, then it's fair for you guys to have the opportunity to weigh in on that. But I think I think I've done in some ways a bit of a disservice, because without seeing that, some of this may seem like it's kind of not as cohesive as it needs to be, but I think when we sit down and say, where do we see ourselves, 2 years from now, 3 years, 5 years, I think these pieces will make more sense.
And that's a great
That falls
point to
in
bring that.
strategic planning.
So that's, I'll have to be honest with you, and this is a fault of mine and I'll own it. I'm not a big strategic plan guy, and I get that it's important. What I don't like is creating a plan that goes in a binder and you walk away from it, right?
Right.
That to me is an effort in futility, right? So I'm very much about, that's why the mission statement, I was so appreciative of you all just scrapping a lot of that, because all that stuff about, vision, all that, nobody does that. So, well, I shouldn't say that.
So,
I don't think people do.
Dr. Wilson, what we'll do when you put your strategic plan together is we'll request an update every 30 days, every other. That's the only way you can do it. Because, here's the deal, if you don't pick a target, you miss it, you hit it every time, right? If you don't have a
Right,
target.
I'm all for picking a target, and I think I'm truly in some ways. And if you guys go back to looking at the discussions we had previously about setting benchmarks towards measuring ourselves as it relates to achievement, I think I was probably a little bit more proactive than you all were as a board. And I'm I take direction from you. What I don't want to do is spend so much of our time talking about stuff, trying to measure stuff, and not doing stuff.
I'll send you some ideas.
That's where we have to cut you down to 1,000 words.
You're certainly welcome to add to the superintendent's evaluation tool a category for delivers pithy and concise statements at meetings.
Pithy, I like that, pithy.
I'll assume I'll do that.
Budget your words.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Are we good?
Time to go.
All right.
Yep.
Are we on B?
Yes, we
I
are.
so move for B?
Okay.
To be or not to
Right
be?
on it.
I'll second.
All right. We got a first and a second. Do we want to do a all in favor?
Acclamation.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned.
Thank you all for your time tonight.